we reconstituted what we could to live in it, and Knocker Knights was responsible for getting the electricity put on.
Was he a good officer?
First class.
Yeah.
Yeah, very tough little man. He looked at the spit image of Punch and Judy, of Punch.
Big nose.
The big hook nose, yeah.
Now the senior doctor when you were there, I don't know whether you knew of him, Lieutenant Colonel Bill Harvey.
Harvey.
Does that ring a bell?
Just about, yes. Didn't sort of mix with them, you know.
No.
So, as I said before, you know, your main medical contact, because we at that stage was still very much a battalion, you know, was Doc Cayley.
Yeah. Did you come across any chaplains in that area?
No, only our own, Davidson. Well, when I say only that, I certainly did, you know, we had odd parades and meetings. There was a Scots doctor, very vocal, used to really tub thump on Sundays.
Yeah. Do you remember his
No idea. From the actual war scene, the one I remember very well was a Roman Catholic, little tubby man.
Yeah. What, an Aussie or a...
no, a Brit.
Yeah.
British Army.
Does the name Chaplain Short, who died in Kanchanaburi or Canterbury?
No.
An Anglican?
No.
There was a Roman Catholic padre in that area whose name was Lyle Marsden, who was outstanding. But his brother was the senior Australian doctor in that area by the name also Marsden.
Marsden, yes.
And there was a British doctor by the name of Marsden too to complicate the issue. Yeah. All right, so
there were several brothers out there actually, and one of the worst scenes I can remember were the two brothers fighting. You know, you don't expect to see it, but it was over something, you know.
Yeah. Now, how did you move? Where did you go to from Tarso?
I went back from Tarso, and as far as I can work out, it must have been Tamawan, then to Tarso, and then from Tarso I got back to Nompleduc, which I know you say is actually the beginning of the railway. That confuses me a bit, because when I went through it was just another place on the railway, you know. And then from Nompleduc I went back to Nakompeton.
Now, why did you go to Nakompeton?
Because this...
Because you're ill?
Ill, yes.
Yeah.
That's why I left Tarso, you see.
Yeah. And now this is a hospital camp, isn't it? It's huge.
Very much. I was staggered by what I saw, and it wasn't big then. I got to know the so-called architect as such, you know, but who was helping put up the sheds, the go-downs, or whatever you like to call them, you know. They were sort of mass producing the frames of bamboo.
Is this for the accommodation?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Some of them were built off timber.
Yeah.
But it spread enormously. You know, when I went there, it was only regarded as about 1,000 strong. It just blew out to enormous proportions.
Yeah. Eventually 8,000.
8,000. Yeah.
Do you? Did you ever see the International Red Cross pay a visit there?
Never saw them.
No.
The only Red Cross I ever saw was one curious day when we were tree felling down in Singapore. I saw these 3 curious little men with Red Cross armbands walk through the camp with Jap soldiers. That's the only time I ever saw Red Cross. Yeah. But the competent, you know, was unbelievable. We were highly suspicious of it when we got there. Wondered what else was in store, because we had only just heard that about half of what was left of my battalion had, with a senior officer, been sent up to Japan, and after that there was a string of these terrible old vessels, real rust buckets, you know, most of which were either sunk by submarines or bombed, or the most hair-raising trip, either to Japan or wherever the Japs wanted work done. But the competent was quite an experience.
Would you have been aware of who was in charge? Were you aware?
No, not really. As I say, you know, it didn't occur to you to know that sort of thing, because it was a medical camp.
Yeah.
And there wasn't the same sort of mixture going on.
Did you realise there was a mix, say, of the doctors, of Aussies and Brits and Dutch?
By then, you see, by the time I got back, or I should think, what to say, non-product, I think by then the whole thing was a mixture. You know, there wasn't just a British camp or an Aussie camp, there was sort of, you know, a mixed bag of general troops, sick or otherwise.
Now, anything else that you remember in particular about non-combatant?
Well, I did a job there with names escape me. Hazelton.
Alan Hazelton. Yeah.
Alan Hazelton. He was keen and interested in eyes, and when I met him, he'd got quite a nice little area for a surgery, and he'd got quite a few Dutch POWs working for him. In particular, he had a Dutch sergeant who was, you know, very practical, very helpful, and I worked with him. Alan wanted all sorts of devices, you see.
Well, he made an ophthalmoscope, didn't he?
Yes, he made it, yeah. The Dutch sergeant did all that. And there was, I remember there was a large chart on the wall with circles, a sort of visual thing that I talked to Alan before he died about that, and he said it was to do some ophthalmic work.
Now, didn't you also sketch eye conditions for him?
Yes, he asked me if I could record conditions that he was pursuing, so I did quite a few watercolours for him of those, and that was a curious thing. I must have signed them on the back with my address, you see. He probably said, you know, well, tell me where you are, you never know, we might catch up with each other. And about 5 years ago, a notice appeared in the army rag. You know, would anyone knowing this officer and at this address, please contact me. And now they're in the War Museum.
Yes.
Yeah.
He.
But he was a very